All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed to be Broke, the show where we talk about all the brainwashing stories, patterns, beliefs, pretty much everything that is not necessarily true, and what we've been hearing since our young age, and the way that we have to dress ourselves, the way that we have to believe certain things. It's pretty interesting, like how many people can be still boxed into this type of living. It's just insane to see that. Well, today we are here with another amazing guest. His name is Michael. He is an entrepreneur, he is a TEDx speaker, he's an author and founder. He's also CEO of Big Fin SEO company, who helps businesses turn online visibility into real revenue through search, AI, and personal branding. Oh, this is really interesting because I've been diving into into that topic actually very recently. Okay, so um, a part of that, I would love to ask you, start with the conversation with first question when it comes to like, what is your this type of claim to fame actually? Like, what are you known for the most? Like, what people are coming to you to get help
Yeah,
from?
it's really interesting. So I think for a long time it was around digital marketing,
Huh?
marketing in general, and over time it evolved into SEO because I actually wrote a book many years ago called SEO Made Simple, which became a bestseller on Amazon, and that kind of launched my foray into digital marketing. And what I found, which is so interesting, Adam, is that when I specialized in SEO, people found me, but then they wanted everything else. They wanted, pay-per-click marketing and websites, marketing and content. But SEO was really the way I got into this business because everybody wants to show up on Google. Now they want to show up on ChatGPT and other
Yeah.
LLMs, which we provide
AI
services for.
indexing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I think what's really interesting for me is, throughout my career, right, we're always reinventing ourselves, and we're going to
Mm,
talk about the beliefs that kind of hold us
sure.
back, and, we're a product of our beliefs and who we think we are. But I really got into this area of personal branding,
Uh-huh.
and, I do a lot on LinkedIn. I've got, a large base of followers and people who kind of interact with my content there.
Right.
And it's taught me a lot about personal branding and
Mm.
positioning and really being open and sharing your expertise. So again, it's been a bit of a journey. We'll get into it, throughout the podcast. But that's essentially where I started.
Very cool. Like it's really interesting because like okay, I'm like in marketing also, right? Like pretty much like most of the well, at least what I know, like people who are starting a businesses, they just like going to the round of the marketing because like marketing is the thing that most people like presenting that this is the secret key to actually having the success online. Marketing such. I don't believe that anymore, but like it can make things easier. But other than that, I would love to hear your story for sure. Like when it comes to like how did you get in even into SEO and like writing books and this whole thing. But let me ask you first, what is behind all your success actually? Like what is the thing that drives you so much? Like what I mean by that is like is it some are you Christian? Like do you believe in God, or is it something like freedom, or what is it for you actually?
Well, I think there's definitely a spiritual aspect to it, right? I mean, just personally, I believe that this isn't it, right? There's more to who and what we are, and I think that there is a, loving entity, the universe, God, whatever you call it, no matter what you believe, that really does have our back. I think it's so important to understand that life is happening for us, not to us. I think it's very difficult to sometimes, especially if you're in a bad place, to realize that life is happening. You're kind of creating your life, and that there's a positive outcome to all of this. And again, that's difficult. I've gone through periods of challenge and trauma and depression, but those were all growing experiences. Personally, for me, I believe life is all about growth and
Have you always been taking it from this perspective, or was it like there was a growth? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, there was definitely personal growth involved to get to a place where you're okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you understand that there is, I don't want to use the word positivity because that can be seen negatively, right? Like, how can I be positive? My car's in the shop, or how can I be positive? I just lost my job. But when you realize that these things are helping to advance you, helping you to expand, helping you to become a better person who can be more loving, more giving, more successful, it really does change how you view the world. And it goes to, a lot of the things that you've talked about on this podcast, right? Where we have these beliefs that are
Mm-hmm.
just ingrained. Many times we don't even know what they are, right? That really filter how we see the world. Well, oh, I can never get ahead. Oh, everything's difficult. Oh, it's always a challenge. Oh, it's two steps for. And the problem with that is it is very easy to make that your general operating principle,
Mm-hmm.
that you're just on autopilot and it's
Yeah.
automatic, and it takes someone like you, it takes someone like listening to your podcast, hearing a guest, reading something, talking to a friend to say, whoa, wait a second, just listen to how you're talking to yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, to your question, Adam, that has been the biggest change in my life, is when someone said to me, are you listening to yourself? Are you hearing what
Right.
you are saying to yourself? And
Yeah.
when you inspect that, my recommendation to everyone who is just not feeling like they're living to their full potential is to slow the train down. Right?
Mm.
Because it's very easy if you're scrolling on social media, like, oh my God, I got to think positive and I have to, say affirmations in the mirror and I have to do all these, things. And although some of that may be true, okay,
Yeah.
the reality is you can't go from A to Z. You have to go from A to B to C to D. And this is my personal experience, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, no, like I'm 100% agree on that.
yeah.
Like people think that everything's gonna change in a day and so on. Like they jumping into entrepreneurship to think that the tomorrow is I'm gonna be a millionaire. That's like one of the biggest. Like I see it was this is just insane. But also like, would you say that the whole world is basically set it up, from like focusing on the negative more than the positive?
I think that is the general operating, principle of people. Yes. I think it's very easy to feel sorry for yourself, to kind of point at other things and saying it's not where it's supposed to be. I do think you have to train yourself to say, here are the 10 things I'm grateful for, right? And you go through
Mm-hmm.
that list first thing in the morning, you go through that list at the end of the day, and over a period of days, weeks, and months, it will change your focus, right? It will change kind of how you view the world, because I do think a lot of it stems from childhood, because you're getting scolded for the things you're doing wrong more than the
Yeah.
things you do right. Like, hey, Michael, you woke up and you made your bed today. I'm so proud of you, right? Like, that hardly ever happens. It's more of, hey, why can't you pick your clothes up off the floor? Or you left a mess in the bathroom. And unfortunately, as we all know, as children, that's when we're the most vulnerable and most impressionable. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of those beliefs form.
Yeah. You did this right.
Uh-huh.
Perfect. But you did this wrong. Go to the corner. You're gonna sit there for freaking 2 hours and not do anything else. Just think about yourself, how you mess up.
Hmm.
Exactly this. Like, this is like probably like I don't know if you ever experience this type of things when it comes to like school and so on. Like I don't know how it is in US because like I'm raised in Europe. I've been raised in Europe in Czech Republic. I'm originally from Czech Republic, um, and the culture of the cultural programming was pretty much this way, right? It was really like punishment style,
Hmm.
right? So if you did something wrong, you get punished. It was even in home same way. If you did something wrong or you didn't fill the task, it was like you're gonna get punished.
Hmm.
But me, I was different. I was running out so many times just to be with my friends, enjoying and like figuring out stuff and like doing crap. So I've been punished pretty much. every day, but it never stopped me. But I don't know. Is like what is the nature of actually the cultural programming in US actually, like specifically what how is it differentiate from what I've described
Mm.
in certain ways?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it really all depends on who your parents were, where you
Yeah.
were raised, how you
Yeah.
were raised. I think that as parents, right, I have two adult children at this point, but, I was definitely less strict with them than I think, my parents were with me to some extent. So everyone does it a little differently. I think the kind of reflecting back to my childhood, it's really more about those seminal moments that were somewhat traumatic as a child. Whether you saw something, heard something, you heard I'm making this up, but you heard your parents arguing and you felt really insecure in that moment, right? Those events in your life when you're a child really make an impact and they stick with you. And
Mm-hmm.
as you were talking about at the top of the show, they're forming beliefs that you probably still have and still operate from unless you're proactively trying to uncover those and explore those and be honest with yourself. I love the question. One of my coaches would always ask, "How are you doing?" And,
Mm-hmm.
if you actually stop and say, "How am I doing?" Well, how am I feeling? Okay, I'm not feeling great. Why am I not feeling great? I don't know. To be honest, I'm bored at my job or whatever you
Mm-hmm.
come up with.
Yeah.
I think there's extreme value in personal development, in sitting with that, in writing about it, exploring it, asking yourself questions, not so that you can like put on a smiley face and say everything is great, but to say, you know what? Maybe I am a little bored at my job today or this week, but it's not permanent. It hasn't always been this way. Things always tend to work out. Like starting to work with yourself, coach yourself, have conversations with yourself to, again, slow that train down and then ultimately focus on those things that you do want. And to me, to your earlier point, right, it's like people see somebody on Instagram, oh, I started selling Section 8 properties yesterday and now I'm a gazillionaire. Okay, yeah, but you also have 10 million followers and you're getting paid from YouTube. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little out of control right now. And I
uh,
just want people to be happy, find, something that they enjoy doing and be kind to themselves. And I think that's, something that took me a long time to realize and get to a place where I could feel good about it.
yeah. Have you also find out that like when it comes to business, that pretty much like succeeding with business is not actually really hard. It's actually it's simple, but it's hard in execution and in personal development. Like
Mm.
if you think about it, like the the only thing that you pretty much need in a business is basically skills and belief, right? And then you can achieve basically anything. And I believe that like humans can basically do anything they want and they can achieve anything they want. It's just about like it's literally up here. That's it.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you because we're learning beings. We can literally learn everything and anything. Now, of course, for some people to learn a skill, person A may learn it quickly or more easily than person B. But if person B sticks to it, eventually they're going to learn it, right? That's just eventually. Even if it takes 10, 15 years, eventually you're going to learn it. So I don't disagree with you. I think the biggest obstacle is ourselves. I think so I work with a lot of freelancers, people so my story is essentially I came out of corporate America and I
Yep.
started my own business and I did it 15 years later than I should have. Why? Because I didn't think I could do it, Adam. I thought it was impossible. I thought it was for only certain types of people. I thought it was way too risky. It was all because of me. It wasn't because of external factors or difficulty. It's the story I was telling myself and a
Exactly.
belief
Yeah.
in myself. So it's just a case in point that really reinforces what you're saying, which is that anything is possible. Of course, you can be successful, more successful, happier. You can do all those things, but you got to get out of your own way and really allow yourself to follow that path.
Yeah, 100%. Like how I have a question when it comes to how you dealing with those tough moments, like because like when we are in the mind and mindset stuff right now, like how do you deal with like the tough challenges when it comes to like personal growth, like doing stuff that is actually uncomfortable, something that is new most of the time. That's the problem. Like usually that's the things that stops most people, like because it's new and they don't never had any experience with it, and then it's like step like stopping them to actually execute on it. How do you, with this all success and everything what you've accomplished and going like and like literally no, I don't know if ignoring would be the right word to use, but like when it comes to this type of challenging moments, how do you, when something like that happen, or like you are about to like face this type of moment, how you actually like move yourself through it? Because like I believe that there is no other way like going around. I don't think there is something like going around it.
Right.
It's most of the time, and especially if you want to really like if you want to succeed fast, it's usually through it and
Yeah.
do it as many times as possible, and don't look at like what other people think, and just do
Mhm.
it as many times even though it's you sucks and like it's completely flop, it doesn't work or whatever, but like eventually you're gonna figure out. That's how like we learn and such.
Mhm.
So yeah, tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, look, it's a really good question because I think everyone has their own process for going through things. I think for me, there are two things that are really important. The
Mm-hmm.
first is sticking with it. I
Mm-hmm.
think where most people fail is they try something, they're not great at it, they're like, forget it, right? And they move on to the next thing.
Can't do that. Like literally, it's for me. It's like freaking no. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Right. But that's life. You're not supposed to be good at it when you
No.
start. I mean, before I started writing books, I didn't know how to write a book, right? Before I
Yeah.
gave a TEDx, I didn't know how to speak on the TEDx stage. Before I started a company, I didn't know how to start and there are all these examples from my own life of things I didn't know how to do, but either you so that's really the first thing is just sticking with it. And then the second
Yeah.
thing that I was going to say is realizing you don't have to do it all by yourself. I think for me, that was a seminal moment in my life, in my career. And, now I'm fortunate enough, I'm in a position where I have people I work with, I have networks, I have resources where I can hire people or work with people. But even if you don't have any money, you can find someone who maybe shares a similar goal who's also starting where you're starting and say, let's learn together. So I think that's really important is realizing that you don't have to get to the other side and be on that journey completely alone. And, I would invite people who are struggling right now with anything to find a community, find a partner, find other resources, even if it's just watching people on YouTube, right? They're sharing their experiences. It's free education. Like, you don't have to do things on.
Why do you think that people are looking for like somebody to actually like partner with? Like why we are looking like trying to get around people? Do you think it's more because of like that we feel safe around people? Like if we do something together with another person? Because I believe this probably is more like I 100% agree that it's way easier way to go with somebody because like that person has his own experience, you have your experience, and literally that can be the thing that literally blow you up, right? But also like you can do and have the same success alone as with two people. I believe so too. But because like in my opinion, it's because most people trying to find people like that they can partner with just because they don't trust enough to themselves.
I think that's part of it. I would argue that there's another side to it as well, that if you
Sure,
find
sure,
the
sure. Yeah, tell me.
yeah,
Yeah, I would love to hear that
you
actually.
find the right person,
Right.
sometimes you can move more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one option. And the other is like in life. So I've been married to my wife over 30 years. I
Yep.
can tell you my life is better because I found a partner who shared similar things, right? So
Yep.
so I think and that's just in a personal way, right? Like I have friends who create that meaning for me. I have business partners or associates who create that meaning for me. So I think you are right. I think there's a certain comfort level in it. I think
Yeah.
there's a certain benefit to minimizing the risk. There are definitely benefits that can support any gaps that you have. And I believe on the opposite end of that, there is the opportunity to kind of amplify and
Yeah.
improve the results if you have the right partner, right? Sometimes you're with the wrong partner and it just makes everything worse.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
what
a
I
very
mean. Like,
delicate balance. Yeah.
it really depends. Like, you have to, yeah, you have to find the balance between, like, if you are like 100% guys, like, go and try to find the people that's going to help you and support you, like, and you're gonna grow together. It's the best feeling ever. Like, you can feel like unstoppable completely. Like, I had this, like, the thing is that I had this experience, right, with actually like having a partner, and we've been like growing a business together and so on. But it ended up the way, because like I'm more this type of, I'm driven, like I'm pushing forward like so hard. I'm going and do everything what it takes to make this whole thing work. And then if the other person has not this type of drive and
Hmm.
is like, it feels like that he's hanging at you and like, yeah, push me forward, like, you know what I mean, like dragging after.
Hmm.
Holy smokes, it was a bad, like, it was a bad experience. I'm not saying that everything is going to be the same way. There was a bunch of things that I learned from him,
Hmm.
but also that was the thing that actually, like, I done with this. I cannot do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have to think how, why you are in entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
why you are doing what you are doing. Because if there is not a strong enough reason for the things that you are doing, I don't believe, like, people, it's the whole saying from Jim Rohn, I think, or somebody who said that without vision people perish, basically.
Hmm.
you know yeah.
Yeah, and I think, aligning on goals and objectives and just working well with there are a lot of things that go into it, and that's why you see a lot of people who are solo, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I remember years ago I reached out to someone who's kind of a guru in marketing, and I said, "Oh, I'd love to do a project with you," and he wrote back and said, "I only work alone." And at first I was offended. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, who wouldn't want to work with me, right? And, now years later, although I don't necessarily subscribe to the same idea, I can appreciate it having had these experiences, Adam, where yeah, sometimes you don't choose the right partner, or sometimes, what somebody says they're doing for you, they're not really right. There's selfish motivations. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it, and I think that everything has to align, and it's not always an easy thing to achieve.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, so yeah, this is really cool actually, like, because you probably had, like, did you have any bad experiences actually with your, like, with partnering with other people than just like, with um was like with this guy, and did you have like multiple of them, or like
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
more like, okay.
yeah. So but again, I'm always growing from these experiences. I'm learning more
Yeah.
about who do I work well with, who do I not work well with, who can I trust, who can I not trust.
Hmm.
And I would say I've got a really tight circle. The agency Big Fin SEO, we've got a core team that have been with me for years now. We're very selective about the people we bring in, and not all of them work out, right? Like as we
Hmm.
grow, as we expand, we try new people, we make our best guess
Yep.
for not just skills, but cultural fit and all of these other things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I'm okay with that because I can tell you that the people who I work with today, who I know, like, and trust, it took a while to develop those relationships, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is always a perfect fit. Like you can get super close, right? But nothing is ever a perfect fit. So I'm okay with that. Like, and I think that's why I enjoy the process because I'm curious. Like, I wonder if this is going to work out. I wonder if Adam's the guy. Like, I'm excited. Let's kind of start working together, but you don't know until you know. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think over the years, through my experience, I've decided that if something is not working out, to address it earlier rather than later.
Then later,
That's
yeah. Ooh,
right.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, early on, I wanted to be the nice guy, and oh,
Hmm.
maybe it's okay, and it'll work out. But like as soon as you get that
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
like uh-oh, this there's something going on here, you got to
Yeah.
speak up and say, hey, I just don't know that this is
It,
working.
it
Let's
it
talk.
reminds me. It reminds me. uh Steve Jobs. I heard that he was so ruthless when it comes to, like partnering or hiring, or
Yeah.
like if they even have a vision, get the fuck out of it. Like
Hmm.
literally. Like
Hmm.
I'm not wasting my time. I'm have way bigger of a goals to actually waste my time on something that, like you haven't figured out. So yeah,
Hmm.
this is really cool. I love it. Yeah, this is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, let's go to a topic of how did you, because you said that you've been actually in corporate at the beginning, right? So what was the actual programming of yours when you've been growing up? What
Yeah.
was the success like should look like for you from probably like parents and close ones? And then like, yeah, let's start with that and then we'll see what we're gonna do
Yeah,
with
no,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. And it's an interesting story because I think I'm not alone that my upbringing was you're going to go to college,
Yeah.
and if you can get into grad school, you're going to go to grad school, and then you're going to find a company and you're going to work for that company, and that's your career. Like that's it.
Uh-huh.
That's all you have to look forward to, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's the path I followed. Like I started
Okay.
working for a company. I thought I was going to be there forever. And I got into it. And before I knew it, I was like, yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be here forever. So maybe I'll look for another company. And I did that. And I spent a lot of time in corporate America. And
Mm-hmm.
and this is my own personal experience, Adam. I found that oftentimes there were people in leadership positions that
Mm-hmm.
um, either didn't know how to interact with people or run a company effectively, or simply I just didn't agree with.
Yeah.
And the more I kind of raised through the ranks, I just became dissatisfied. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. There were certain people in the organizations that I worked for that I just, were not people I wanted to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And now, on the same token, there were a lot of people, some really great leaders that I worked with over the
Yeah.
years, some really good relationships. But ultimately, over time, I was becoming less and less fulfilled by the work that I was doing for someone else.
How
Even
long have you been in in
I was
that
in corporate America for almost 20 years.
20 years?
And yeah,
So how
20,
old are you right now?
I'm 55. And
55? And so you've been until like 30 you've been in corporate or more?
no, till about 40. I was,
40 really.
so it's
Oh
about,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, so you have even like you have even college probably done and
Yeah,
so on, like
college,
all of
grad
it?
school, all of it.
Grad school,
And
all of it. Wow.
yeah, a lot of experience. And it's that's why I'm saying, like, for me, if I had the confidence, if I had the risk tolerance, I would have done my own thing much earlier because in
Yeah.
hindsight, I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always wanted to create more value, work on more
Okay, how
projects.
you determine entrepreneurship actually? Like when it comes to that, how
Mhm.
you actually like that? Like when you said that you being entrepreneurial, like how you can like figure out in that like for those who like trying to figure out the like who they truly are actually, like how you figure out like that you have those entrepreneurial tendencies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm going to answer that in a couple of ways. The first
Uh-huh.
is what I tell a lot of the people I work with, especially if they're younger, maybe they're just graduating college or just starting their career, and they're like, I don't know what I want, or I don't know what I want to
Yeah.
do. That's what I hear all the
That's
time.
most of them.
Yeah. And my answer is always the same. Great. Then just work on yourself. Just work on
Ooh.
yourself. Work on your health.
Mm.
Work on your mental health. Work on your diet. Work on your exercise. Work on becoming a better version of you. You don't need to have it
Mm.
figured out. I wish
Hmm.
I had that um, advice when I was
Yeah.
in my 20s. Okay, so that's
What
the
was the advice? Okay, what was the advice then? Before, like instead of this one, actually.
The advice that I got was, I don't
Yeah.
know, find a company and go to work. Like,
Right. Okay.
why
I
have
get
the
the point.
conversation?
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. You need to support yourself. Go find a job. Because back then people weren't talking about mental health or personal development
Mm.
or right personal growth. So that's one piece. The other piece is I think that from an entrepreneurial perspective, if you want more, then you have the capacity to be an entrepreneur. Because, I mean, I remember in college, I was trying to study for a test. I'm like, there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be a better way to study that doesn't take so much time where I got to read every word and write index. So I figured it out and I put together a booklet, called like the 7 Study Habits of Top Students. And like, so I was entrepreneurial back then,
That is
but didn't even think
impressive.
of it. Yeah,
Wow.
but didn't even think like that's entrepreneurial. I was just trying to figure something out. I was trying
Yeah.
to create a better way. So I'd say if you think you may be an entrepreneur, then you have an entrepreneurial spirit, and it's
Yeah.
up to you to pursue that. And by the way, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, Adam, like that doesn't mean quit your job today and just sit around twiddling your thumbs. That means, in the evenings, go take a course on how to program AI or go, watch some videos on starting a drop shipping bit. Like just you do you, follow your passion, your curiosity, and you'll know when you're ready to take the leap. And I feel
Mm.
strongly about that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm sure at some point you're like, yeah, this is the direction I'm going. And you were confident. You were like, okay, maybe not 100% confident, but you're like, yeah, I think I want to do this. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to start a business. And you do it, you figure it out.
All over the thoughts, all over the, all through those limiting beliefs, like how I'm gonna look in front of other people, especially that
Yes.
English is not my second, is my second language. I have never thought like that
Hmm.
before. I haven't present. Yeah, well, there is a bunch, and like we just do it. Like yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's the whole point. Like what the life would be like if you would just do everything what is so simple,
It's a great question. It's a great
right?
question. Yeah, but it goes back to what we've been talking about throughout the show, exploring why are you not doing that, right?
Yeah,
Why are you making things so difficult or bigger than they need to be?
yeah.
And oftentimes it's risk. So early on, especially when I spent all those years in corporate America, I felt that I was risk averse.
Yeah.
And the reality is I felt that way because that's what I was telling myself. I don't
Mm.
I don't like risk. What if I lose everything? What if I try it and it doesn't work? What if I quit my job and I can never ever ever get another job working anywhere anytime, right? It's so
That's so.
ridiculous that
Yeah, it is.
but it's what we tell ourselves because of
Yeah,
how
we
we
do.
were brought up. I have this great story I always tell. So, one of the areas I invest in is real estate. And when I was a kid, I remember getting a book. I was like 17 years old, and the book was
Uh-huh.
something like, how to buy real estate with no money down. Right? Like
Uh-huh.
this is what the book was. And I'm reading that book and I remember my dad saying to me, "Well, why are you reading that book?" Because here's a 17-year-old kid trying to make something of himself, right? Because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. And my dad said to me, I still remember, he said, "You never want to be in real estate. You're going to end up fixing toilets at 2 o'clock in the morning."
It's the
And you know
same
what I did,
thing.
right?
This is the same thing
Same thing. Same thing?
my parents told me. Like, you're
Right.
still holding the lens? You are still holding lens these days, these years? Why are you holding lens? There is no money anymore. Like, people, like, there was money when there wasn't enough food because people needed
Yes.
land to actually grow and food. But now everything is like there is more than enough.
Right.
You have to pivot to something different. Like of course, like keep the land. It's gonna still keep like the value. Maybe it's gonna grow a little bit, but like there is like you have. So what would you do? Okay, like probably like I would go to real estate. It's like 95% of success rate on that. On in this industry, and
Hmm.
like oh my gosh, you're gonna spend your whole life clean like fixing toilets and and I was like, guys, you don't get the point. Like,
Yeah, and look, they're saying what their parents told them, right?
yeah,
So or the fears that they have, and they're
yeah,
communicating that, and that's really again what's creating these beliefs for us that we need to inspect and say, is that really true?
yeah.
And I can tell you, years later, it took me many, many years, but I've got a really close friend, really bright guy. He and I talked to him about real estate. He's the one who got me involved in real estate. And I told him, I said, "Oh, aren't we going to have to do this? Aren't we going to have to do that?" And he laughed at me. And he's like, "You're kidding, right?" He's like, "I don't fix toilets. If a toilet breaks, we're calling a plumber." And I was like, "Oh, you can do that, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying." So, like, oftentimes it takes someone who is a friend or a colleague to question those beliefs. But if you can get in the habit of questioning those beliefs, it can get you further much faster.
Oh yeah, so
Mhm.
true. And I love it because I believe that the direct proportion of like what type of what I wanted to say, it's better the question are that you are asking, the better life you can build. Basically, the question that you ask are having direct proportion like on the results
Hmm.
of your life or like something like that. I'm not sure exactly how the saying was, but do you get the point,
Yeah, and
right?
that's a Tony Robbins thing, right?
Oh,
He
this
said
is
the
okay.
quality of your life comes down to the quality of the
Oh,
questions
there
you
we go.
ask
Oh
yourself.
yeah, there you go. There you go. That one. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I agree. I also think too that it is developing the habit of asking yourself those questions and questioning.
Yeah.
Again, it's all about slowing that train down because you have these automatic things that you're saying to yourself every day, all the time, and you don't realize it until you actually stop, take a deep breath and say, is that true? Or why do I feel that way? Or is
Yeah.
this actually how things are? And look, it's easier said than done to be able to catch yourself. But I obviously I'm into personal development. I see all these manifesting videos on TikTok and Instagram, and look, it all is important. The affirmations, the daily meditation, the da 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 da. But there's nothing as powerful as catching yourself in the middle of the day,
Hmm.
feeling a certain way and saying, "Okay, what am I thinking right now?"
Yeah.
Right? And challenging that question. There's
Yeah.
not there's nothing more powerful,
Okay.
because that's where
I
the
have a
change
question.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question on exactly that. There are a bunch of gurus, like big names,
Yeah.
talking that you should literally like set up a 5 minutes alarm and literally like every 5 minutes you should check up yourself what you are actually doing, what you are focusing on, what thoughts are going like keep your thoughts going to the right direction, and also like based on focus what you are actually like how where is your focus during the day. Do you think it's actually isn't it too crazy to actually do something like that? Because like you have never going to enter to the creative zone of yours, like figuring things out. You will still catching up on your like if I'm actually doing the right thing, like if I'm actually like you know what I mean, like it's you cannot really like dive in because I don't know, when I do stuff I cannot get distractions at all for as long as possible
Mhm.
because I'm in the flow. I don't know, like I love the place. I don't know how to even like describe it, but
Yeah.
when I get into the flow, it's like having a blinders, and I just focus on the one thing, and then like everything's going away, and I'm just like creating and ideas coming up, and like I don't know. Have you ever entered this type of zone?
Yeah, I definitely think that I call it time blocking is incredibly important where you're
Yeah,
uninterrupted because they say that like I put my phone away before the interview, but if I had my phone on my desk and I picked it up, it's now going to take me 20 minutes to be fully focused back on the
like
interview.
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
now whether it's 20 minutes or 2 minutes doesn't matter. The reality is you're taken out of that flow and now you got to reset. And That's why time blocking I think is so
Is
important.
that fundamentally truth? Like that it takes like 20 minutes to get back into the zone, or like is it something that you studied, or like do you have actually like data behind it, or is it
It
like
is what
what you
I've
heard?
heard. To be fair,
Okay.
I don't have a
Okay.
research study,
Okay.
but to me, it does make sense. And I
Mm-hmm.
also think that, to answer your earlier question, I wouldn't be setting 5-minute reminders, but if 2 or 3 times a day you set an alarm that just causes you to pause and be present and think about where you are, what you're thinking about, are you aligned with what it is you wanted to achieve? I think that's really strong. My biggest thing, Adam, is I start every day intentionally. I think everyone needs a morning routine. If they
Mm-hmm.
don't, if they're just waking up, jumping in the shower, and going to work, that's a big no no, right? We need to invest in ourselves. We are the most important thing in our lives. Someone told me once, you are the CEO of your life, right?
Yeah.
No one else is. So I think having that morning routine where you are focusing on gratitude, focusing on how you're thinking, how you're feeling, rewriting your script, this idea of future casting, thinking about what you want your life to be like, exercise, whatever it is for you, that morning routine should really set you up for success throughout the day, right?
Have you read the book Miracle Morning?
Medical morning, no. Oh, miracle
Miracle
morning.
Morning.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's so crazy good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And look, there are a lot of people out there who kind of talk about, the what's it called, like the 5 a.m. club and like all
Uh-huh.
these crazy
Uh-huh.
things. Um, I think it's all good, right? I think it's all good. At the end of the day, you got to find what works for you. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a good friend. She always says the first hour of the day um, defines the day. And she's
Mm.
right. And maybe it's not an hour. I spoke to a guy who's multimillionaire. He spends 2 hours every morning working on himself. And
Mm-hmm.
and it reminds me, so I had this coach, Len Wright, if you're out there, really had the most impact on me in my entire life. Len, he's the one who taught me how to meditate. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And I remember he said, like, first week, he's like, Michael, your job every day, you got to meditate for 15 minutes.
Right.
And I remember coming back to him after the first week, and he's like, hey, Michael, how'd you do? And I'm like, I did it a couple of days, not some other days. He's like, great, because your job this week is to do half an hour every morning. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And here's the interesting thing, Adam. Once I started doing it and spending more time doing it, I realized all that other shit that I thought I had to do, I no longer had to do.
Mm.
Days became freer and more authentic and more productive by spending more time focusing on myself and being present and not being on my phone scrolling through
Right.
nonsense. It really is like the opposite of what you would think, right? The more time you
Yeah.
spend now, the less time you have to do work and follow up with people and blah, 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 blah. But the opposite is true. The more
Yeah.
time you spend working on yourself, the more present you are when you show up and the more
Yeah.
effective you can be.
I
So,
love it.
again, that morning routine I think is really key.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, do you exercise? Probably like you have the whole routine like this way, right? Exercising, meditation, like affirmation, and so on, like all
Mhm.
of that. Okay, interesting. Because I don't like I okay, like meditation, like when it comes to meditation, this is pretty cool because like do you just sit in a like empty room on your own and just like thinking through or like keeping your thoughts going like into one direction or like or trying to completely like pause and don't think about anything? What like how does it that actually the routine look like for you when it comes to
Yeah,
like meditation?
I usually do a guided
Okay.
meditation if
Yep.
I
Yep. Yep.
can.
Yeah.
I just seem to pay more attention to that. I can
Yeah.
tell you that there was a time where I was not doing a guided meditation and I would
Yeah.
just sit and kind of focus on my breath. Now a lot of my meditations are to slow down my thinking.
Yeah.
So it's more about, I think, just being present.
Hmm.
Ideas are always going to pop into your head, right?
Yeah. That's
But
what I, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but look, there was a time where I was meditating for an hour a day. I don't do
Yeah.
that anymore. I
Hmm.
don't have the need to do that right now,
Yeah.
but I definitely have a process. It's about 30 minutes, where I kind of focus on affirmations. I do about 20 minutes of meditation. I'm kind of rewriting some of my beliefs. I do a little future casting, thinking
Yeah.
about where I want to be, and that's it. And then I'll do my exercise. But again, I think that's a journey everyone should. I encourage everyone to
Yeah.
go on because you just feel so much better about yourself and your day and being present. And it's a gift you can give yourself. So if people who are listening to this are not really focusing on themselves first thing in the morning, that's a train they should definitely be on.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when it comes to meditation, in my experience with meditation, I got always the best solution to problems that I've been facing and ideas to solve those problems in that state. And the environment
Hmm.
is by I had to be in a shower
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more
because
about
the water keep me going, like keep me flowing the ideas when I sitting and like I have to sit under the water. The water has to go on on my body to
Yeah.
actually like and like when the water is going on my body, it's like I cannot hear anything else than just me. And like that at that moment, I'm like I can explore like when okay I'm working on this for example and I like literally like trying to focus only on one thought, right? Not more many, like I'm not going to every direction possible because that's usually what like when you are during the day and there's somebody talking or you hear this type of voice, there is some type like lots of stuff, right? Have you ever experienced like that's something like that also? Like when it comes to, I don't know, maybe I'm just weird when it comes to water stuff. I don't
No, but
know.
you know what though? I think that's a great example of finding something that works for you. I can tell you
Hmm.
if I'm, walking on the beach, right? Like I'm in a zone, especially early in the morning when no one's there, like I'm in a zone, right? And I'm with my
Yeah,
own thoughts. And,
yeah,
some people just want to be out in nature. Some people need to be in a dark room. But these are the things that individuals need to explore to find what's going to
yeah,
work for them.
yeah.
And it can really have a pretty immediate and long lasting impact.
It's insane. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, that's really good. Anyway, I always like when I get into that zone. I don't want to even get out from there. But anyway, yeah, that's
Yeah.
everything cool.
Yeah, can't stay there forever. But, oftentimes too, like you could be, sitting with yourself and have an idea. And, my feeling is like I'm a crawl, walk, run guy. Like I don't
Hmm.
just jump into things. Like I've got a really good friend. She's like, you know what, I want to go do this, and the next day she quit her job and she pursued this other thing. Like that's not me. I can't do that.
Hmm.
I'll park it somewhere, let it sit. If I still think about it, I'll take another look at. Like I'll start to work with it, and then maybe I'll
Right.
do one small task associated. Like that's kind of how I operate. That's what I'm comfortable with. So
Yeah.
everybody has their own thing, but when you can be present and you get these ideas, write them down, make a note, post it somewhere, and don't feel like it has to be all or nothing. I think that holds people back as well. And that's one of the reasons why people don't start their own freelance business. Like, there's a guy down the street from me, he makes birdhouses. I'm
Hmm.
sure he didn't quit his job one day and say, like, I'm in the birdhouse business. He probably was like tinkering around and he's like, oh, I really enjoy this. And somebody said, hey, how much is that? I'll buy it from you. And next
Hmm.
thing you know, he's doing one or two a week and then three a week and then five a week. And then ultimately he's like, you know what? This fulfills me. I can make money at it. I'm going to sell birdhouses. Like that's
Yeah.
really how life, I think, should work. That doesn't mean you can't go from zero to hero overnight. There are plenty of examples of that. But I think the crawl, walk, run example just lowers the intensity of what you're trying
Yeah.
to do. And when you put less pressure on yourself, I think you can move more quickly.
That's really interesting, actually,
Hmm.
because that's not my example. I literally like, I hate the environment in the corporate. I cannot be there. I'm not going to let like why I should work for somebody on somebody's dream where I can like build my dream. Like not a chance, right?
Hmm.
I'm not going to let somebody tell me what I do, what I can do, and like what time I have to wake up and what time I have to, like what I have to do to fulfill my daily task and this type of things. Like yes, like I still have daily task in building my business, right? But I'm putting them together, right? I'm the person, like I am the leader of the day, right? No, nobody else. I
That's
don't
right.
know like about you, but yeah,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and I think that, look, this is not to disparage anyone who's working in a corporate job. For some people, that works, and it works really well. There are a lot of people, in my experience, who are in corporate jobs who feel trapped. They feel trapped. I have to work this job because I need the money, and I can't work anywhere else, or whatever they're telling themselves. And from my experience, a lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of that is the story you're telling yourself. And that's why you believe what you believe. And again,
Mhm.
not everyone's entrepreneurial. Not everyone should be running their own business. Lord knows we've got plenty of examples of that. But the people who do have that inkling, who want something more, I really encourage them to start experimenting. Don't quit your job, not yet, but look to kind of grow and expand, because ultimately you will be an Adam or you will be a Michael who today really can't work in corporate America for a myriad of reasons. And it's ultimately because we don't find it fulfilling. It's not it's not the way in which we find our joy and our happiness and make a contribution. So yeah, I'm with you, Adam. Like
Yeah.
it's not for me anymore. At one point in my career, I think it was a good place to start, but I've kind of outgrown it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. This is the difference between like entrepreneurs and then like people who are like literally like corporate working people. We are keep growing and growing and growing, and there is no way that somebody can stop us to actually like, I'm seeking every day for something that actually going to like move me forward, like at least one step. I don't know how big, I don't get how big it is, but I'm trying to do uh, like trying to focus on the biggest things that actually moves the needle, towards the goal that I'm pursuing. But yeah, anyway, what I want to ask you also is when it comes to, because I don't know how deep you are in like religious and so on. Like I know that you said something that you are about, like you are Christian. Are you?
I'm Jewish
Oh, you
by
Jewish.
religion,
Okay.
but I grew up Jewish and associate with being Jewish, but I really don't follow Judaism from an Old Testament perspective. I
Okay.
am really more spiritual, and
Hmm.
some of my best friends are actually Catholic, and we talk about this on a regular basis. Uh, to me, spiritualism, religion, like it's a very personal thing, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
a very personal thing. What gives you meaning? What gives you comfort? I definitely believe in a power greater than
Have you
ourselves.
been thinking a lot about it? Like, the because like when I can, I'm like I'm Christian, right? I've been like raised in the Catholic Church basically. Like my parents, grandparents, they all believe in something. But well, it seems like, because I don't think that they have ever been like educated about it enough,
Mhm.
because that's how it usually is. But I cannot say completely that like I know, like I've been like diving deep into this topic and stuff.
Mhm.
More like I'm super curious about it because I see that lots of people, and especially successful people, are really aligned in believing in some higher power, right? Which for most of them is Jesus, at least in my circle.
Mhm.
And it's just so interesting, and like because if you just think about it, like when it comes to history, right? Everything what they taught us in the school, like the human evolution and this type of shit, like in the Bible is written something different. For example, there was a point when we've been actually talking about, and just because of curiosity, I just wanted to bring it up because for
Yeah.
like, maybe what do you think about it? I have a guy that he's thinking that dinosaurs never existed
Hmm.
because they never even been found the full whole fossils, always species,
Hmm.
and they just made up the rest of it. He thinks because in a Bible is written multiple times one huge animal or species that was in the earth, and it was dragons.
Hmm.
He believes that dragons been on the earth before, and those are fossils from like those species from dragons that literally like that's what is even written multiple times in the Bible, which
Hmm.
is interesting, right?
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
like this like history and this all things that are literally like it's very interesting and confusing and like it's so big of a topic.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about
Well, I personally, I think dinosaurs existed. I'll throw that out there.
it?
But that being said, I think it does kind of speak to the value
Mm,
of believing in something. Whether this
mm,
guy is right or wrong, I don't think really matters.
mm,
What is good to see is that he has a belief. He feels
yeah,
strongly about something. He believes in something bigger than himself. Like, I think that's really the most important thing. And again, this is something I talk to with my friends, and we practice many different religions. That is the one common thing that we're not just these human people walking around. We have a spirit. We're something above and beyond who we think we are. And I think, and this is my personal belief, but to be successful, you got to believe in something bigger than just you.
yeah.
um, because
Why?
honestly,
Yeah, and why
because
is that?
there's
I
no way
would.
to because there's no way to explain, chance meetings and how things unfold the way
Yeah,
it's just, again, my personal belief. I think there's something bigger that's helping us and guiding us and helping us grow and expand and creating these synchronicities and these just, miracles of waking up and breathing fresh, clean air and not having to think about our hearts beating. Like, I just feel that there is something there. And whether you call it, Jesus or Allah or the universe or spirit or whatever, um, I think we're free to believe whatever we want to believe and define it in the way that works for us. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
it's really interesting when it comes to like that there is multiple religious around the world, and
Hmm.
like most of the conflicting um like relationships or like the things that are happening are because of that most of the time, right? People basically like judging the others just because they have different type of beliefs
Hmm.
about and specifically about religious, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, have you ever like thought what is it so like intriguing or not intriguing, like so disappointing for the other group of people, like different, like why this actually like the how would you call it, like this type of disagreement actually, like why is it even like so bothering other people like between
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's a really good question, and more wars have been fought over religion probably than any other thing, right? And to me, that's just a lack of human evolution. If
Mm,
people realize that there's only one race that matters. It's the human race. And we're all here together. And guess what? We're all in the same train that gets off at the same place, right? Like at the end, it's the end. And hopefully, right, we believe that there's something after or not. But yeah, I don't understand it because for me and in my life, I'm open. Like, I'm open to learning about other people and learning about their beliefs. And this guy thinking, that there were only dragons and not dinosaurs. Okay, that's new. I don't, why would I judge him for believing that? If he believes it, there must be reasons why he believes it. I want to learn more. I want to understand that. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people think, well, I'm right and you're wrong, or there can only be one answer, or whatever these really what you started with at the top of the show, Adam, right? Like, we have these beliefs, And that's how we see the world. And if people aren't willing to question those beliefs, it's just going to create a world of misery. And, I think that's my message today, which is be open, learn something new, you know, make new friends, hear things from different perspectives, because it's not only going to make you a better person, but I think it's going to make you happier and more fulfilled. And you'll learn that some things you're right and some things you're not right, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, so true. Well, thank you so much. It was a great time with you here, and we like I could talk to you like we could talk for hours. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just so insane. I love these topics. So thank you for being here. And like when it comes to you know the way that you are heading, what you can like see you doing, or like what is the goal for you when it comes to like when you think about the future, like when it comes to like your business life and also like the other side, the personal life, because we didn't even get into like, is there something that you are even more passionate than business about?
Yeah, thank you for that, Adam. I think right now I'm really focused on the business. I continue to kind of focus on evolving the business as AI is kind of taking off. Like, I want to be a part of that to some extent. So, as I mentioned earlier, with Big Fin SEO, we're doing more around artificial intelligence and what we call generative engine optimization showing up in LLMs like ChatGPT. So like I'm definitely focused there, but yeah, I have a life outside of work, and I mentioned I'm involved in a bunch of different projects and investments and groups and relationships. I think for me, one of the things I definitely want to focus on over the next few years is doing more around community and maybe
Uh-huh.
building more online communities. I do something called the Freelance Friday newsletter on LinkedIn. We've got about 5,000 subscribers. I'd love to start working with people in more of a community setting, because again, it's all about this transition from corporate America to entrepreneurship and freelancing and consulting. So I definitely want to pursue that. And personally, I love being around family and friends. So the more time I can spend doing that, the better.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Well, rapid fire before I let you go. First question is, um, one book that would you recommend that had the biggest impact on your life?
I would say the biggest one is Good to Great
Good to
by
great.
Michael
Okay.
Collins. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
for sure. Hmm.
Okay. Um, then if there is a one, if there would be an opportunity to take one advice from the internet, what would you take it down from the internet?
Take down from the internet. Wow, that's a powerful question. I would say what I would take down from the internet is I don't know if it's well, you know what I would say it is this that anyone who's listening to information that says that all you have to do is, make a decision and everything changes, um, I would take that down not because it's wrong, but because it's only the start of the work. And
Hmm.
I think that is the thing that is falsely communicated online. Oh, just make a decision and you're going to wake up tomorrow and be a gazillionaire. Like, it does start with a decision. That's 100% right. But it starts the process and it
Hmm.
starts the work. And if you get that, if you understand that, you can really transform your life for sure.
Yeah, I love it. And if this interview would be your last that you would ever done, what would be the message that you would like to leave behind you?
That it's all about connections. And I'm grateful to connect with you, Adam. I'm grateful to connect with your listeners. And at the end of the day, that's what you're going to be known for. It's going to be the impact you make on others. And you want to do it in a way that fulfills you.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, brother. It was a pleasure to have you. And where people can find you to connect with you.
Well, thank you, Adam. I would say the best place is probably LinkedIn. Um, I don't know how many Michael Fleischners there are walking around the earth, probably just a handful, but you could definitely connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for everybody who's listening, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks, Adam.